Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome in general. Today I'm doing a video on everything that I ate throughout my Whole30. Just a little bit of information. I did my Whole30 from December, I believe 14th through January 14th, and I would not recommend doing it over the holiday season. I did it over Christmas Eve, Christmas, and New Year's, which are all holidays that I celebrate. So it was definitely very hard. I'm not a masochist. I didn't do this because I wanted to restrict myself from having amazing holiday food. I'm in medical school and we had a break in December to January. Basically, my Whole30 was the day my semester ended to the day that it started, and I basically did that because my doctor recommended I do it for health reasons. There were a few things that she thought my issues could be related to diet. If you're not aware, that is something that can happen. People that have celiac disease, they have issues due to food they're eating, amongst other foods, can cause other issues or agitate certain symptoms if they are immune related. And especially with me having arthritis issues, she just figured it was something that was worth a shot. So I did it over the holidays. Would not recommend doing that at all. If I were to do it again, I would definitely say I would do it in maybe the summer or the fall. Pick a month where you know you don't have a ton going on. It's really hard to have social gatherings with this, just because if you go to a wedding, you can't necessarily control everything you're eating. You probably wouldn't be able to have anything because you don't know what's in the food there. Even if it's vegetables, they sometimes season vegetables with sugar, etc. I know that sounds weird, but green beans, they taste good with sugar in the seasoning. So it is really hard to do and be social. It's definitely possible, but I would just recommend doing it in a season where there is fresh fruit in season, because in December it was not like that at all. It was kind of difficult for that reason. All the fruit I had was mainly just grapefruit, lemons, etc. And if there was fruit, it didn't taste how it would taste in the summertime, aka now. So it is the end of July 2022. No. It's the end of July 2021, and I did this from December 2020 to January 2021. So I took a very long time to get making this video, but just because I'm in medical school and I knew this video would take a very long time. So without further ado, I'm going to show you everything that I ate on my Whole30. I'm not going to show you the same foods if I had it for more than one day in a row, because that's boring. So I did have more meals than this, but these were all the meals that I had, if that makes sense. So I might have had, you know, a Chipotle bowl Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but I'm only going to show it to you once just for sake of brevity. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, starting with food, breakfast first. I'm not a huge breakfast person. Don't come at me for that. It's just who I am. I don't like to have sweet things in the morning, really. So I might kind of have themes of having savory things for breakfast. Like I would literally have my lunch or dinner for breakfast. And if you are doing Whole30, it's almost guaranteed that you are going to get sick and tired of eggs by the end of this. So I'm not going to lay out all the rules of Whole30, but I will just let you know that if you don't know what it is, maybe you should go do some research on your own. I can leave a link in the description of what it is. I wouldn't recommend this for weight loss or anything. It was something I did for health reasons. If you need to do an elimination diet, I would always talk to your doctor first. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor yet. And even if I was, I would not be giving you advice from YouTube to the masses. So definitely talk to your doctor. My doctor is the one that recommended that I actually do this. And look into it yourself. It is good for a lot of things, and one thing it is good for is getting rid of your sugar demon. But if you are like me, it comes back as soon as you are done with Whole30. So without further ado, we are going to get into breakfast, and I'm going to leave a nice little empty space right here just so I can pop some photos and videos of everything that I ate. So first off, we are going to start with a BLT salad. This is so good. I recommend it. I eat it on and off Whole30 regardless, and I can link the recipe in the description below. But we've got massaged kale with bacon, jammy egg, and avocado. It was so good, and I love this. It's #1 breakfast always. So the next thing is a hard-boiled egg with avocado, and you dice up the avocado, cherry tomatoes, the egg, and then you add seasoning. I like everything but the bagel seasoning. Trader Joe's also has a chili onion crunch that is really good, and I would recommend that. Third is patatas bravas. So if you just have leftover roasted potatoes, I recommend roasting potatoes and having them on hand all the time. Since you can't have grains during Whole30, it's just a nice substitute for any bowl, just roasted potatoes. The nice thing, I wouldn't have made it through Whole30 if I couldn't have potatoes, because once you're taking away like breads, quinoa, rice, etc., you kind of need it there. So definitely great, and you can definitely make it your own. They do have Whole30 compliant ketchup at the store. Just mix it with mayo, put it on the potatoes, you're good to go. We have a breakfast burrito bowl. So good. This beef recipe, I got it out of the Whole30 slow cooker recipe, and I make it in my Instant Pot. I make it regardless of being on Whole30 or not. It's seriously amazing. It's like saucy, sweet, amazing kind of Mexican flavors, and here I was eating it with roasted potatoes and guac. So you'll see the same sort of bowl right here, only difference is I added salsa. So I definitely had this for breakfast a lot because that beef went me a long way, lasted me a long time. I normally am not a red meat eater, but I kind of needed it to survive on Whole30 just because I was so limited with options. So up next, just classic potatoes and eggs, and I got some Whole30 barbecue sauce. This barbecue sauce is amazing. My whole family buys it, and I do too, without being on Whole30. So I would definitely recommend getting your hands on this. It is a little more expensive, but it's essential on your Whole30. And the next one, this one doesn't look so cute, but it is cabbage that I fried up with some bacon and threw an egg on it, and it was so good. This recipe I'll also pop in the description as well. And the smoothie bowl. So Melissa Hartwig, the creator of Whole30, says like you really shouldn't have smoothies all the time. I think I had it one day just because I was going back home and I didn't have a lot left in my fridge, so this is what I made. And it was really good, but she does say to be wary that, you know, you're not relying on them heavily because then technically you're just still getting in a ton of sugar without much fiber, so just keep that in mind. And then a super easy breakfast. This also doubles as a snack, just fruit and these nut butter packets. The nut butter packets are amazing. You have to make sure that you grab the ones that are Whole30 compliant because they do have ones that have peanuts and chocolate and sugar, but this one is compliant and it's amazing, and I eat it regardless on being Whole30 or not. So that is what I had for breakfast. Okay, now into lunches and dinners. I lumped this into one category because you can use them for either. They both have the same vibe. A lot of times my dinners would double as my lunches, so let's get into it. This one was one of my favorites, and I would make this for sure. My mom had like a pork roast. I don't really know what it's called. I think that this is carnitas at Chipotle. So I would get that as well as cauliflower rice, guac, homemade pico, some lime. This is bomb, and I would 100% make this again. And I can link any of the recipes if you want them, and I don't list them, just let me know and I can provide them for you, because some of them are just like recipes me and my mom made up just to get us through. So yeah, let me know. This is the same pork, and I just used it with guac, potatoes, and salsa for kind of like a little brunch meal the next day. This, oh my gosh, Chrissy Teigen has a Dorito taco salad recipe. This is her recipe from her Cravings 2 cookbook, but I just took out any of the things that weren't Whole30 compliant, so took out corns, beans, and then the Catalina dressing. Obviously you can't have sugar in there, so this is everything that's compliant, but it was absolutely amazing, and I would for sure make this again, but since I'm not on Whole30, I will make it not compliant. But this was an amazing dupe, so I definitely recommend getting your hands on that recipe. Okay, next is zuppa toscana. So this is a Italian soup. You might be familiar, they serve it at Olive Garden, but my whole family loves this soup. They're Italian, so I just had to make it Whole30 compliant, so I made sure I was using compliant sausage, and then instead of creamer I used coconut milk. So if you want that recipe, just let me know and I can get it to you, because that is a family recipe. Oh, this next one, I guess we have a lot of soup in here. It was very cold, so you know, a lot of soup. This was amazing. This is from the Defined Dish cookbook, and it is like a Greek lemon soup. So the creator was really inspired because she loves Greek potatoes, like the lemony, oregano, potatoes. So it's basically that in a soup, and for this just more protein, I added some poached chicken that I had shredded, so it was really good. If I were to do it again, I probably wouldn't add the chicken. I would just have protein on the side because it kind of like messed up the texture of the soup's silkiness, so just a heads up. One thing I did do for my Whole30 was I made a batch of chicken in my Instant Pot, and I threw in that barbecue sauce that was Whole30 compliant. I'll post a picture of it here. And I made a barbecue chicken bowl, so I had some kale, some pepitas that I toasted, bacon, the barbecue chicken, and then some jammy eggs, and that was super good. Oh my gosh, I'm making these again. They were so good. So obviously you can't have grains or chips or anything on Whole30. So I made these tostones, which are plantains that you end up using the air fryer for. It's a Skinny Taste recipe. I'll link it in the description. So I made these tostones in the air fryer, and then I made a guac and I threw that barbecue chicken over them. So good, you guys. Definitely would make those being on Whole30 or not. One thing I make all the time is a BLTA salad, and this is also a Skinny Taste recipe. It's mainly just iceberg lettuce, tomatoes, avocado, and then I said tomatoes. That's pretty much it. Bacon, obviously, and then the dressing is like mayo mixed with tomato juice and some pepper, and it's so good. So would make that regardless or not. I made a lot of good food on Whole30. I had to be able to stick with it, or else I would not have been able to get through the holidays. So I'm just lucky enough that I had time being on a break from school. That's why I intentionally did it then, because I knew I would need to be putting the time and effort in the food. And I tried a lot of new things. One of them would be this tom kha gai. And I hope I didn't butcher the pronunciation of that. I tried to look it up before this, but it's basically a Thai coconut soup, and it has chicken, but I made it with chicken, and the chicken, I used it from my freezer. It was weird. So I took all the chicken out, and then I ended up like poaching shrimp in the soup, and it was so good, and I would 100% make this again. It is super filling, and I used zoodles instead of what would normally be like rice noodles or something. It was so good, and that recipe is from 40 Aprons. I'll link it in the description below. So just a note on eating out, it was super difficult throughout Whole30. I am in Ohio, and lucky enough I live near a restaurant called Brassica. So if you do want to eat out, you have to be super aware of everything. Like I would have to call ahead and make sure that I'd have to ask them 100 questions. Did you use sugar when you make your pickles, and blah, 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 because all that stuff really matters. And if you mess it up, you have to start over. So I don't make the rules, and I understand the science behind the diet. So don't take it up with me. That's just how it works. It's kind of like an experiment with food, and we don't want any confounding variables. So what I did get was a bowl from Brassica, and I had this like braised chicken with roasted cauliflower and kale, a tahini sauce, and then a few other things. I can't remember because it's been like 7 months, but it was amazing. And I actually didn't take a photo of it, but if I did also eat out, I would eat at Five Guys, and I would just get their burgers in a boat with lettuce, and then I knew their mustard was compliant, and so were their pickles. So I would do that, and then if I was home, I would maybe add some mayo or something that I knew was compliant, and I could also eat that. So I ate Five Guys a few times just because their burgers are like 100% beef, and I knew that I could have them. And I think even Melissa Hartwig has like mentioned their burgers. If not, I've definitely seen it on a lot of blogs, people that do Whole30. Alrighty, this was the cabbage I was talking about with bacon. Link that recipe below. That's from Downshiftology. Absolutely amazing. Would make again. This recipe is just a Greek salad. I made the recipe base up. It's pretty easy. It's just like mixed greens, olives, tomatoes, and then I made these dill chicken meatballs. I don't know where I got the recipe from, but they were just like not my favorite. They tasted like you got slapped in the face with dill and lemon. It was just like way too much. So I ended up making the salad again, which is here, with just grilled chicken, and I preferred that. So yeah, you're just your basic Greek salad. This recipe, moment of silence, because oh my god, I'd make this again. Defined dish cookbook. You need it if you are doing a Whole30. It's hibachi chicken with these grilled carrots and zucchini and mushrooms, and she uses chicken thighs in the recipe. If I were to make it again, I would most definitely use just chicken breast, because I don't love thighs. And then you make this like magic mustard sauce. Oh, it's so good. I would 100% recommend this recipe, and I will be making it again. This one was just a quick one. my Italian household. It's just peppers grilled with onions and then an Italian sausage. So it is kind of hard to find compliant red meat because bacon and stuff, you have to make sure there's no sugar coating, which there is in like everything. So luckily my parents actually get a pig from a farmer, and then they like have it all year long in their freezer that's frozen. So obviously, like I said, I don't really eat red meat outside of Whole30 very often, but because I was at home over the holidays, I was fortunate enough to be able to use their red meat in my ingredients because they get it from a local farmer and there's no additives or anything, so I knew it was compliant. This next one was amazing. The recipe is from Fed and Fit, and I'll link it below, but it's cauliflower rice with a pineapple avocado salsa, and then this basically it's not barbecue chicken, but it's like a pineapple chicken that you put in the Instant Pot, and it's delicious, so definitely recommend making that. This next one is a shrimp that I grilled, and then I just ate it with a cucumber salad. It was amazing. I keep saying that, but I feel like everything I ate was really good. And this one was just so easy and quick, just made with stuff that I had on hand. So what I've got here are these lettuce wraps. So the beef that I've been using, that taco meat, I would just eat it on lettuce with a homemade pico and then guac, and it was amazing. Definitely recommend that you make these regardless on being Whole30 or not. And here's a little video of me making them. Coming to the end, but this last one was zoodles with sauce and some more Italian sausage. And for this, I would recommend just doing spaghetti squash. I didn't love the zoodles with this. I think I really only like zoodles in soup, so I would have just subbed out spaghetti squash, but that's pretty much it for my lunches and dinners. Moving on to just a few snacks that I let myself eat during Whole30. So one that I made a few times was just because this was over the holidays and everyone was drinking, and I wanted to feel like I was kind of just partaking in the camaraderie, so I would just drink this and sip on it, and it was just nice to have something in my hand. So this is Topo Chico grapefruit juice. I love the Cosmic Cranberry Kombucha, and then a squeeze of lime. This was amazing. My mom was even drinking it while I was home because she thought it tasted delicious. And as far as kombucha goes, I know that GT's is okay to use because cane sugar is not listed in the ingredients. So I would just make sure you look at the back, and if they say there's cane sugar in there, technically you're not allowed to consume it. I know that they use cane sugar for the fermentation process of kombucha, but because it is listed on the ingredients, it basically, you can't be sure if they added that after the fact or they're just referring to it for being in fermentation. So that kind of stinks because one of my favorite kombucha brands puts cane sugar on their list, so I had to use GT's, but it was amazing still, so I would definitely recommend that brand. Okay, hard-boiled eggs with just spices, everything but the bagel seasoning and hot sauce. Quick go-to, just really nice to have on hand throughout Whole30 in case you get hangry, but you will kind of probably get sick of them if you're anything like me. And then here's just more kombucha with a Lara bar. So not every Lara bar is compliant. Like I said earlier, a lot of bars have peanuts, chocolate, sugar, etc. So this one, cinnamon roll, was actually compliant, and I hate raisins, but there weren't like chunks of raisins in here. They were blended up, so I thought it tasted really good, and I would definitely recommend just kind of stocking up on these two things. And then this one's kind of a random one, but these are just these Whole30 approved soups, and it's just nice to have in your pantry at like the front, so when you're like rifling through things because you're starving, you just heat this up and you're good to go. And they were actually really delicious. Only thing is with the clam sugar, like clam chowder, sometimes I would get like a little bit of like gritty sand, which I don't like, so I would probably go for maybe the shrimp more. But yeah, overall super good. Woohoo! That is everything I had on my Whole30. Basically, all these foods helped me to get through the Whole30 over the holidays. Like I said, I wouldn't recommend doing it over the holidays unless you absolutely have to, sort of like my case. But I definitely was able to enjoy my Whole30 with all of these foods, and I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything because I still ate the same foods. I just made them compliant and delicious. So definitely an adjustment, but As you kind of get past the first 10 days, it does get easier just because you gotta get used to not having sugar, and then your appetite sort of like decreases, at least for me, which was a little depressing because my life revolves around food, and to not like have those cravings and desires to eat was really weird. But I just think because you're eliminating like so many processed carbs, you are kind of more so relying on fats and proteins, and you're just satiated all the time. So I never really started to get hangry after like the first 10 days. So this is everything. I hope this was a useful video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye. One last thing, my cat wanted to say hello and good luck on your Whole30. Didn't you, kitty? You can tell she's very excited for you.